Hey guys, I'm back. Thank you so much for tuning in for a new video. I don't have like a specific game plan for the video today, but I do have a lot of just like random projects going on and cool stuff in spike and flower, so I thought I'd do a very casual kind of chit chat video. I used to do videos more like this where I would just flip on the camera and just show you what's going on with my plant collection, and I thought we would do that today for old time's sake. So I have some cool stuff to show off to you guys, the first of which is I got a tattoo. Maybe you guys don't care, but I am so in love with it. I just want to show it off every chance I get. And it is plant related. It's a fern. And you might be surprised it's a fern and not an orchid. But ferns are just super cool looking. It made for a really nice design. And I'm just in love with it. So now that we have that out of the way, let's check out some real plants. It's been a while since I've shown my actual setup, so I thought I'd give you a look at the grow shelves. It's a pretty basic setup. It's nothing mind-blowing, but I am proud of it. I like the way it looks. I've done a lot of reorganizing and cleaning and stuff, so that's why I'm happy to show it off to you guys. Up first here, I have to mention this Dendrobium chocolate chip, which is blooming its head off like it does every year. These Latoria dendrobiums are really reliable bloomers, especially the hybrids. They're just wonderful. And right here we have a nice little Nepenthes. I don't know what species it is. I got it from like a garden center. It's got some nice traps on it and some nice new traps coming in. It's doing pretty well for me. I've actually amassed a small army of carnivorous plants. Not that many, but more than I've ever had before, and I'm really loving them. There's some pings back there and a couple Venus flytraps. I'm actually proud of myself because that Venus flytrap in the back there is the first one that I've ever overwintered and given like a proper dormancy and stuff. Usually I would just kill them and buy a new one every year, but I actually took care of that one through the winter and it's doing well. So I'm happy. And then that smaller Venus flytrap is a new one that I just picked up. And then I recently got a Drosera, which I've never had before, so I'm really excited about that. This one does a great job catching bugs. Over here, I have a gorgeous Rex Begonia. I had one just like this like years and years and years ago, and I killed it, and I was really sad about it. So when I saw one that was like the same type, I just had to get it. It's hard to capture it in the camera, but it has this like beautiful glittery texture to it where it just looks like sparkling rubies. It's gorgeous. And another non-orchid. What's going on? This is the black velvet Alocasia. I just happened across one in like a grocery store for really cheap. It was like $8 or something. So I was like, I have to buy it. So really cool. I just love it. Back there are just some miscellaneous propagation experiments. I'll talk more about those in a future video. We've got spikes galore everywhere. That's my Aurengus Hyaloides, which has been taking forever to bloom, but it's finally almost about to bloom. This is my Aurengus Hyaloides, which bloomed recently, and I'm bummed that I didn't film about it, but I'll insert a picture here. It was really gorgeous. I love it so much. We have a nice red Tolumnia here, spiking for the first time for me, so I'm very excited about that. That's a nice, beautiful Cattleya. It's that pure white one. Behind it is Hawaii Star's Pink Lace, which is another beautiful, fragrant Cattleya type. And there's a secret Lepianthopsis Astrophora down here. It likes the shade from that Pleurothallus. This thing has turned out to be like a super strong bloomer for me. I didn't realize that it was like a sequential bloomer, like you keep the spikes on it and they just bloom and bloom, and I love it. And over here we have a couple Mazda Arenacea, which is a cool little miniature. There's a look at the flower. Weird fuzzy little blooms, super cool. It's got some more spikes on the way, so I'll show it off some more in a future video, but pretty cool. Very neat little flowers. And then blooming right here, we have the gorgeous Aurengus Fasciosa. Not quite opened all the way. Very, very fragrant. If you've never smelled an Aurengus, they're a bit like jasmine or gardenia or something, but maybe not like quite as sweet. There's a bit of like a mothball-y quality to some of the Aurengus fragrance, which it's not bad. I don't mind it, but that's the only way I can describe it. There's a bit of like a sharpness to the smell. And then over here, not too much going on. Here are some more propagation stuff. This is a little Ficus pumila clipping. I have some like Magravia cuttings and stuff like that. So those are fun. Hopefully those will do well for me and I can talk more about those in the future. Let's jump down to the bottom shelf. Welcome to the bottom shelf. This is all Masdevallias. This is Masdevallia ceasia. You know what I'm talking about. It's the one with the blue kind of like shimmery leaves. I have a hard time keeping this hydrated because I really shouldn't be growing mounted Masdevallias. My humidity isn't great. It's good enough to grow them like potted and stuff, but this one just dries out a bit too fast, but it does okay. I've been doing a little bit better with it now. I added the Spanish moss and that's helped a little bit. Some of the newer leaves that are coming in are starting to get bigger, so hopefully that'll do a little better for me. Back here we have a couple Masdevallia Viciana in spike. They are my absolute favorite. Vicianas it's probably one of my like top 5 favorite orchids of all time. I usually only get like 1 or 2 spikes on them at a time, but each year that passes, they do a little bit better and I get more flowers each year. So hopefully they'll keep doing better. This flower came in a bit kind of like weird and wrinkly. I think it got kind of caught when the bud was opening. Still beautiful. The color is just like magical. I'm obsessed with these. Here we have my Gracam German Yanum, which is an overachiever. It's hard to really appreciate this plant without pulling it out, and I don't feel like moving it, but there's buds all across the back of it. It's got a million little secondary growths growing everywhere that also have buds on them, and it's just amazing. Really cool. It blooms all the time. Nice and fragrant too. This is one of those angraecoids that smells really jasmine-like. It's very light and sweet. It's not quite as like pungent as some of the other ones. So really gorgeous. I love this thing. Over here is a Cattleya. It's not much to look at right now. It is in bud, so I'll be able to share the blooms eventually. But I wanted to mention it because I was hunting this orchid forever, so it's kind of special to me that I finally got it. I just got it recently. It's Catalyanth Orange Walker, and it's a very weird, kind of like unusual looking Cattleya that I just love. And I had one a long time ago when I was kind of new to orchids, and it died eventually. It was weird. I don't know why it died. I was kind of new to orchids, but even still, it seemed like there was maybe something wrong with it. I don't know if it had a virus or something. So it finally died, but I had the hardest time replacing it and trying to find a new one because it is kind of a weird, like unusual orchid that you don't see available a lot. I'll try to insert some pictures. I finally tracked one down, so I'm just so excited to have this. It's got these beautiful orange flowers, and there's just something strange looking about them. They're very unique, and I love it, and I'm so glad to finally have one again. I think maybe that's it for the grow shelves, but I do have one other thing I wanted to show you guys. Oh, but before we move on, I almost forgot my Ivanagara apple blossom is in bloom. I pulled it off the grow shelves because I wanted to display it. I'm sure you've all heard of it. Apple blossom is a pretty well-known hybrid for good reason. It's really, really beautiful. It just has a cool kind of like unique look to it. It's got that weird Calarthron in its heritage, which always makes for really cool looking hybrids. It's got a nice fragrance too. It's just really cool. It's got kind of a wild growth habit. Looks a little crazy. Doesn't like to stay in the pot, but does pretty well for me. It's a bit slower growing than other Cattleyas in my experience. Yeah, really gorgeous. I love this thing. Okay, last stop. I wanted to show you some stuff in the reptile room. This is a gorgeous vivarium that I've had for a long time. I have a couple of crested geckos in here. It was beautifully planted when I first set it up. It was really awesome. And then over the years, it sort of fell into disrepair. I just kind of let the plants go and it was looking really crummy for a while. So I have started to revamp it, add some new plants and stuff. It's still not done, but I wanted to show you some of the plants I added because I just love them. Up first here is Phylodendron micans, which is one of my favorites. I just added this recently. It's hard to tell right now because it's wet, but the thing that's so cool about this is that it gets this really gorgeous sort of like rusty copper reddish color to the foliage. You can sort of see it a little bit on that leaf down there, but It's gorgeous. I just love the foliage. It makes a really nice background plant. I've only started adding plants to the background. I wanted to finish the background before I start adding things in the front because obviously the back is harder to get to, so I wanted to do that first. But yeah, that's been a beautiful new addition. I just love it. I think it'll fill in nicely. I wanted to add something that's going to take up a lot of space back there, and I think that's just perfect. So Phylodendron micans, super cool. Up next here is a funny one. This is a prayer plant. I believe it's a type of calathea. I'm sure you've seen them before. They're really nice. And I picked the wrong time of day to film this apparently because the leaves are all curled up. That's why it gets the name prayer plants, because the leaves fold and change positions and move around a bunch. So it's sort of fun in that way, but right now you can't really appreciate the way the foliage looks, but looks cool folded up as well. Also makes a nice background plant because it should have a nice kind of like droopy effect as it kind of grows down. So that's a cool one. I do want to move this piece of cork over a little bit so it's not blocking everything, but we'll worry about that in the future. And the next one over here, I forget the name of this one, but you've seen them before. It's just one of those like silvery looking kind of pothos phylodendron things, whatever it is. And I can't wait for it to put out new leaves and kind of cover more area because it adds a really nice texture to the background. I love it so much. And then last but not least down here is one of those Tradiscantia plants, which are really cool, nice pop of color and really gorgeous. I'm hoping that will kind of spread out, cover some more surface area as well, because the color is really nice and I'd love to see some more of it, and it seems to be really happy so far. So I'm hoping it'll continue to do well. But that's everything I've added so far, but I have a couple plants on deck ready to add. So I thought I'd give you a look at those too. And here are the rest of the plants that are going into the vivarium. I thought I'd just give you guys a sneak peek because there's some cool stuff over here. This is a Regelia. It's like a type of bromeliad, and these just look awesome in vivariums. I was so thrilled to get such a nice big one. There's lots of pups on this that can be divided. These color up really nicely too. When you give them bright light, they tend to get some nice kind of like stripes and stuff, some reddish coloration. Really cool. I can't wait to add this. Here is one of those like nerve plants. I think this will make a nice like foreground plant towards the front since they stay a bit short and it's sort of like a ground cover type thing. So we're going to give that a shot. This one is called Purple Passion. I forget what it's actually called, but it just has a gorgeous shimmery purple color to the leaves, and I think it's going to make a really nice addition. Probably similar to this, I'm going to put it towards the front as sort of like a foreground plant. Over here is a Pilea, and I just love this thing. It has such a cool texture to the leaves, and I think it's going to make a really cool addition. And then back here are just a couple ferns. I think they're called like Mahogany Ferns or something like that. I forget what the actual species is, but really gorgeous. Obviously ferns look wonderful in vivariums. And I like the idea of adding multiples of the same plant. I think that gives it like a very naturalistic look because obviously plants tend to kind of group together. So I like the idea of having two of the same type of fern in there. And then there's a random little air plant, Tillandsia. I'm just going to stick that in the background somewhere or to one of the pieces of cork. So there's all the plants that are going into the vivarium. I'm just really excited to be finally redoing this tank. So I hope you guys enjoyed checking those out. Okay guys, I think that's it for me for today. I know that was sort of a random video. I felt like filming, but I didn't have a particular topic ready or anything, so I thought I'd just show you some of the stuff I'm working on. So I hope you enjoyed. I will be back soon with some proper videos, but I just wanted to check in and say hi. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you guys have any cool projects in the works. I know it's getting to be springtime, so maybe you guys have some exciting stuff going on with your plants as well. So tell me all about it. Leave me a comment. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with a proper video soon, but until then,